Hi guys, my name is Haris and welcome back to episode 3 of Q&A with Dr. Sanjay Tolani. In the first 2 episodes, we covered the insurance business side of things. But one thing that we keep getting is your viewers want to know a little bit more about you, the doctor himself. So could you tell us how this all began for you, like 17 plus years ago?
So I'm technically third generation in the business, and I think it was a passion overflow from my father. Dad's been a successful financial advisor and he's a sales guy, right? And he got me into selling insurance because he sent me for trainings, and I just found the process so simple. And I said, I think I can do this. And I got into it. 19, I qualified MDRT. 23, I was top of the table already. 28, I became life member. So it was quite an interesting journey right from the beginning. Just like every other financial advisor, I've had good days and bad days. But what kept me going was the fact on why I'm doing this. So once you've got that purpose very clear on why you're doing this business, it clarifies a lot of things. All of us will have those bad days, and on those days we will always question is, why am I doing this? And on that day, if you can answer that question, you will get through that day and you can make it up. So it's about why you're doing this business. So it always came down to that.
Well, thank you for that. That's inspiring actually. But on the topic of bad days and good days, could you share with us maybe one of the lowest moments in this business for you?
You know, bad days doesn't have to just be in this business, right?
Yes, true.
So I would say my lowest point in this career was the day my dad had a brain stroke, because it just changed the way I looked at myself in terms of the kind of energy and the confidence that I had because of the kind of support that you have from your family. And overnight, all of a sudden, the pillar that's actually kept me going was not there. Right, so when dad had a brain stroke, all of a sudden I was trying to do everything for the company. Lost a lot, learned a lot. And I think had it not been for dad's critical illness claim, I would have probably been out of this business. That's how bad it got for me. So when that claim got paid out, I actually saw the value of what critical illness claims are all about. So you know, they say till you haven't experienced it yourself, you don't know the value of it. I think I saw that, and it changed the way I position critical illness insurance for a lot of my clients. It was true income protection. It really just protected his income. It was nothing else. It just truly protected his income, which bought me time. And when it bought me that time, I was able to recover from it, bounce back from it, and get back on my feet. So I've seen the real true value of insurance. So today when someone tells me you don't need insurance or you don't need an advisor or any of that, I tell them, you know, the reason why you say that is because you haven't been there. And unfortunately, the day you're there, and if you don't have it, God bless you, it's too late. It's just too late. And I really pray that no one ever has to go through that by themselves. And there's someone by their side throughout, someone who's there to financially support you. Because yes, moral support you'll probably get from a lot of people. Financial support is the tough one, right? So, you know, everyone says, Sanjay, I have a strong support system. I say, yes, you probably have a strong moral, emotional, psychological, spiritual support system. But when it comes to financial support, money is such a weird variable in the matrix of variables that when you need the financial support, all of a sudden, all other support systems just start to fail. Now, you have the financial support, everyone's supporting you. But as soon as you lose the financial support, all your other systems start to fall apart. And that was what I experienced when dad had a brain stroke. And I wish I can just share that with people and tell them, guys, it's not about who's around you. It's about who's with you at that point of time. So you know, they say, friend in need is a friend indeed. As long as you're not asking them for money.
That's why we have insurance companies for, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. How about one of the best points of your life? Something a little bit more positive this time. What's the best thing you've done? Your most proudest achievement in this business so far?
When I paid out my first retirement claim. So you know, I was sitting with this guy. He's been a client of our family for about 30 years. And he turned 65.
All right.
And I went to him with his retirement check. And you know what his words were to me? He said, Sanjay, you're the only one who's brought me money when I turned 65. Everyone else is just telling me, markets are bad, investments are down, don't withdraw your money, don't do this, don't do that. You're the only guy who said, Uncle, here's your retirement money that you had planned for 30 years ago.
Wow.
You did not come and tell me, Uncle, markets are bad, don't withdraw your money. Uncle, this is bad, don't do that. This was in 2008. When everything was just falling apart for everyone else, I was handing out checks for retirement. I mean, that was the most amazing feeling. Today, when someone says, Sanjay, I don't need to do retirement planning, or you know what, the returns are so low. I'm like, it's not about the return. It's about when you get to that point in life where there's an event that's occurred and I come there with real cash. It will change your level of confidence. It will change the level of confidence of your family. Their dignity just changes. They just feel so dignified, so empowered, and it's not about the returns. They don't even care what the returns are at that point. So when your clients are telling you, son, can you compare the returns for me? Trust me, when it comes down to the real day, it does not matter.
It's awesome.
The funny thing is, I hear a lot of people say, buy term, invest the difference. It does not work. And the reason is, as human behavior predicts, right? So human behavior has been predicted that we lack the discipline when it comes to money. In a perfect world scenario, probably buy term, invest the difference might work. However, we live in the most imperfect world. People get scared as soon as they see markets going down, they start withdrawing money at the wrong time. They put money at the wrong time. They stop putting money at the wrong time. So we know that timing plays a role in this. And we always keep saying, spend time in the market. Don't try to time the market. However, human behavior wants to always get maximum returns, and they will always try to time the market. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that we all make, is trying to time the market. However, when it comes down to some of the traditional products, which are the old endowments, the old annuity products, people forget the purpose of them being there. The purpose was, you are doing your investments. You're already doing your properties. You're investing money in your business, or you're an employee and you're investing money in mutual funds or unit trusts. This money is your safeguard money. When everything else falls apart, this is there for you. And that's what people forget. They just go on saying, do this investment, do that investment. Go ahead and do it. I saw people borrowing money and putting money into bitcoins.
Wow.
Right. You see, at that point of time, it's human behavior. All of a sudden, we become irrational. Rationality just commits suicide at that point. That's the problem. Rationality is such a variable, right? It's not guaranteed. And if you're not rational on that particular day, you could be losing so much more money. So it's about being the rational mind for your client. It's about being the rational advisor for your client and giving them that stern, sometimes firm advice.
Yes.
So it's not about being pushy, but it's about being firm and stern. And that you can only be if you truly believe in your product, you truly believe in the advice you're giving them, and you truly believe that you're actually working to make their life better. Because at the end of the day, yes, we are selling a product, insurance, annuities, or whatever. I could be selling shoes. I could be selling handbags. I could be selling cars. I could be selling property. I would still earn money. Why am I doing this business? And that's why I asked you, the first question is, why are you in this business? The day you have the answer to that question, you will know when to be stern and you will know when to be firm, and your level of confidence just goes to another level.
One thing I've heard, and a little bit of experience as well, other than just, agents where we sell products, sometimes we are coaches, life coaches, finance coaches.
It's never about just money, right?
Yeah.
So the fun part is, I was having this conversation with my client and he said, Sanjay, I have a lot of money. Why do I need insurance? And I said, there are two things that are going to happen when you pass away. Number one, your children will start to liquidate your asset because they probably don't even know what to do with it. Number two is, they will try to liquidate the assets that is easiest and try new things with it. So there's only one thing I can do. I can create money for them, which I call play money. Money that they can test whatever they want without touching any of the wealth that you have created. So they will spend the money. The question is, do you want them to spend your money or do you want them to spend my money? Now, my money is cheaper than your money because every dollar you give me, I will give you a multiple. Maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 10 times the amount of money that you give me. So I'm always going to give a multiple of your dollars to your children to play with. And that's play money. Every family needs to know where they should be spending that money. So let's say today you want $5 million. What are you supposed to do with it? Most of us will say, I'll first take it in the bank and then I'll figure it out. Correct? Every generation hits a jackpot. Somebody hits a $10,000 jackpot, somebody hits a $10 million jackpot, somebody hits a $100 million jackpot. And it's not usually in cash, it is in kind. So they would live in properties, businesses, estates. And when they hit that jackpot, what are they supposed to do with it?
We have no clue.
That's where our financial advisor's role actually comes in. Like you said, we are actually a life coach. So we'd be sitting with these families to figure out what are they supposed to do with this jackpot. And most people haven't got that figured out. That every single generation will hit a jackpot. It could be even $100 jackpot, but it's going to be a jackpot. And when they hit it, they actually don't know what to do with it. I was asking this question last week. Let's assume you have a rich uncle and all of a sudden you get the news that your rich uncle's passed away, but he's left you with a $15 million property. How do you feel? You don't know whether to be happy or sad, right?
A little bit of both.
Most people have told me, Sanjay, I feel happy. And the fact is, you should actually be sad. You just lost an uncle.
I know, so sad.
But, okay, what are you going to do with this $15 million property? And almost 80% of them told me, I will first sell it. So what do you think is going to happen with property when you leave it for your kids?
You gotta sell it.
Probably. So there's an 80% probability that they will actually sell your property and buy new ones because they just don't like older property. So why are you actually buying property for them? Why don't you just leave cash? And not only just cash. Well, the reason why we leave property is we feel that our kids will just splurge on their money. But let's be honest, if they really want to splurge, they will still sell your property at a loss and still splurge it. So that all comes down to value systems. Money is not good, money is not bad. Money is power. Values will be deciding where that power is going to be used. So it all comes down to what are they supposed to do with it. And if I can get that out, and if I can get families to think about what they're supposed to do with the wealth, rather than have more and more wealth, it changes the way we plan for many generations. It's not about, I don't want to leave money for my kids, I don't want to leave assets for my kids. It's not about that. The question is, if you don't leave it, they will create it. Forget about it. So I have no doubt in the fact that the next generation cannot create the wealth that you don't leave for them. Right? They will do it.
Yeah.
The only question is, what will they say about you? My parents had the ability to give it to me, but they didn't. So the question is, if we all said to the next generation, you figure out how the wheel was made, we would still be cavemen.
That's very true.
So every generation has to add value to the next generation. They have to give them the resources, skills, talent, everything to the next generation so that they can leverage on what they have already done. And that's why we go to school. I mean, can you imagine if everyone said, you figure out mathematics? We would still be doing 1 plus 1. Forget 2 plus 2. We'd still be thinking, what's 1 plus 1? And every child for themselves would have to fend for themselves. But that's not the word. So the question is, do your children have a head start while the other kids are already getting the head start? So you choose where your children start. They're your kids. They're not my kids. They're your kids. So you decide where do you want your kids to start. You start at ground zero. You build it up to 100. Do you want your kids starting at 100? Or do you want them to start back at ground zero? The choice is yours. There are other kids who are starting at 1,000. There are other kids who are starting at 10,000. If your kids are all starting at zero, when do they get to 10,000?
They'll never catch up.
They will not catch up. And they will always blame the previous generation for not passing it on.
Well, thank you so much. The video's been quite a while sometime, but we do want to finish off with one last question. You know, I've been a big fan of yours. I've been only in the business, 2 years now, entering my 3rd year. And I'm sure there are a lot of, new advisors. They've been watching you, buying your books, and they just want to find out what's next for them. Like, do you have any tips, strategies for the advisor just 1-2 years in the business? What is supposed to do right now?
3 words. All right. Consistency, persistency, and integrity. So if you're consistent with the work strategy, if you're consistent with your activity, and you learn to keep building up your activity, you will get to the next level. Everyone forgets that the raw material in our business is activity. If you don't have the raw material, you do not reach the final stage. So the first stage in our business is activity. First, get your activity in order. Once you have built your activity, then comes your persistency, because you will be rejected. The more rejection you handle, the more objections you handle, the more persistent you will be in this business. And once you get that, if your advice has got all the integrity that you truly believe, there is nothing stopping you from getting to the next level. So it's consistency, persistency, and integrity. You've got that sequence. There's no one stopping you from being right at the top. Not somewhere on the top, right at the top.
Amazing. Simple yet powerful.
Life is simple. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 3 of Q&A with Dr. Sanjay Tolani. If you haven't already, you can get his books online. We'll leave a link at the bottom. And look out for episode 4. If you have any questions for Dr. Sanjay Tolani, leave them in the comments below. We'll cover them in the next episode. Thank you again.
Thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Cheers.